Hello and welcome, I'm Raziel as always, and it's Monday, which means we look at a faction on how to improve it via the law. Now, I am still going through the Wild West Exodus. I'm not really going to touch dystopian wars, but certain Wild West Exodus factions, or Lost World factions, do actually include a lot from dystopian wars. As we all know, the dystopian age is a alternate timeline of Victorian era planet Earth. It's got aliens, interdimensional beings, and so forth and so forth. And today we are looking at the Crown. Under the rule of Queen Victoria, we have so many things to talk about here. This is probably one of the most interesting factions, and this isn't just because, Brit, but it is a really cool faction. And the thing is, Britain at this time, the Crown at this time, has taken such a beating around the world, and they really have taken a huge beating. There's been a Revolutionary War, obviously losing the colonies in America, that's gone. There's the Indian Revolution as well, and there's so many other things really hampering the Crown. To go with all that, there's also that the fact is the Crown seems to be a little bit backward, technologically speaking. We're not a big fan of the Enlightened. Isambard Kingdom Brunel, the ex-main person from the Enlightened within the UK, sort of decided that he would be more patriotic and stay with Victoria and stay, loyal to the Crown rather than the Enlightened themselves. So we have this whole story of how he's more patriotic and how he's working with the Crown to improve their things. The problem is with the Crown is they're very traditionalist. A lot of his ideas may be balked at or just outright thrown away because they're against tradition. And this is to be seen with the Crown on many occasions. And of course the Crown itself is a very small country compared to the Alliance or the Imperium or even the Commonwealth. The Crown itself isn't very small now. It's nothing compared to what it was. So if we were to see how these world effects are now affecting the Crown itself and how it's sort of like limping on and trying to regain its once illustrious empire, would be really cool to see as well. To see how they would retaliate with India and how the colonies in Africa, which apparently armoured clashes may be set in, would be effective towards the Crown. This strife and what the Crown is going through would be one of the best things to see. Now, if we look at the Lost World Exodus, as I said, they've sent mercenaries down there to find something, look for something. This is why Rani Namu is there with her Nautilus. And of course, the Nautilus has now been released, so we're probably going to get a little bit more story to go with that and why they're there. And why hire a mercenary? Why not have, some people who are actually officially associated with the Crown to go there? Why mercenaries? And this is just things I'm looking at and things I'm really enjoying, because the Crown, like I said, the Crown had a massive empire before the dystopian age started. It was really big, and all of a sudden, over a span of a very few years, it was decimated. I think all they got now is Australia and Canada and South Africa. They've lost maybe Palestine as well, that area, but I think that's under the Sultanate now. I can only go on real world history rather than just dystopian age history as well, because some of it's quite spotty and it's not really revealed on who owns and where's what. So that might be under the Sultanate. Palestine is Middle East, which would be their ground. And being these countries that are so far away from each other as well, where the Commonwealth is very centralised, the Union, even though it has problems within its own borders with the warrior nations, with the outlaws, and with the Order and the Hex and the Watchers, is very centralised. And you've got the South American Republic as well. I don't know what they're called, again, very centralised, but the Crown is not. It's very dispersed. This will also cause further issues because minerals and resources which come from the bigger countries, such as Australia and Canada, are going to cost more to get to their HQ or where they are, to the UK, than say something going from New York to Arizona or Arizona to Washington with the Union. And I would really like to see how these sort of things affect the Crown as well. How, their financial, how badly burdened are the financially speaking are the citizens of the Crown. Is there going to be revolt? All this stuff really leads to interesting storytelling, and the fact is the Crown does rely on so many politics of a crumbled empire, trying to reclaim its growth, trying to reclaim what it once was theirs, only to have it thrown away. I think this really does make for interesting storytelling. And the fact is, they are technologically backwards, and they aren't really moving forward. The Union is far better. The Enlightened, I don't know what they've done to the Enlightened, because they don't really want to deal with them, but Isambard Kingdom now is the one providing the assistance there. Kind of like Nikola Tesla providing the Union assistance, except with the Union, they seem to be upgrading everything, rather than with the Crown, they're still backwards with their technology. And with this also you see lots of different cultures and other things as well, like the way the Australians are very different from the way the South Africans are, the way the Canadians are, the way the British are. And also you've got the inner strife, talking about rebellion and revolution, you have the Irish problem as well. It's not the problem that they're Irish, but like things like the potato famine and stuff like that starting to come into play as well. So we are seeing wars and fights within the main part of the Crown, the main country of the Crown itself, going to be starting causing issues as well. I just think this is fantastic. I really do. And I could keep going on about this, because we have things like the Nautilus and what they're doing. We have Australia, what's happening in Australia with the Crown, and Canada as well. I think Canada might be joining the Union, or maybe not. But this is just some really cool stuff, and I really like the Crown. I think it's a fantastic faction. I think it's one of the best. And there you go. Thank you very much. If you like the Crown, or you like what I'm talking about, you have Wayland Games down below, who are the best source for Wild West Exodus and Dystopian Wars. Down below, the Crown is a major Dystopian Wars faction, but they do have a posse for Wild West Exodus, and it's free delivery after £20. So go give them a click and a look if you want. There is also Forbidden Planet for comics, DVDs, mangas, toys, geeky merchandise, the usual stuff. Then there is my merchandise, stickers, cups, etc, etc, t-shirts, what everyone else does. Then there is also my comics, if you want to see Little Red Riding Hood go ham on some Lovecraftian werewolves and horror anthology. There is Skyforge. Never forget Skyforge. He's a good friend of mine, and I do wish him all the best, and I really want to help him with the algorithm, because he's a friend. And there's Patreon, of course, as well, because business. Bye bye.